We truly thank you and we appreciate you connecting with us here on the Mastermind call for the Dreammakers Network. Couldn't be more excited to have all of you guys on the line and just begin to reconnect. For those who have been with us for several years, actually, we're pushing 11 years now as a network. We're just more than excited to continuously have your time, your energies, your participation on this call and in community activities that we have. And for those of you who are on the call for the first time, welcome. Welcome to the Mastermind call, the Dreammakers Network. My name is Byron Deese here in Sanford, Florida. And even though we may have connected in many ways in Baltimore, I actually just got back from Baltimore around midnight last night after spending this week in Baltimore and just connecting. And it's just been a blessing to be able to work with folks, connect over the years, and still pushing. And so we welcome folks who are lined up and joining us for the call with the Mastermind call, the Dreammakers Network. We've been hosting this particular call. It'll be 11 years on Labor Day. Labor Day of this year, we're pushing toward Labor Day of this year. It was Labor Day of 2012 when we hosted the first Mastermind call, and actually it was in person. And it was just a couple of guys. A couple of guys came together, and we knew we were kind of at a crossroads in our growth and our development. We were recently married, recently becoming fathers, and beginning to make some strides in business. But we knew there was more. We knew there was more out there for us to access. There was information that we hadn't connected with, that we hadn't gotten access to. There was people who were doing great things in communities across the world. And we just hadn't read the book. We just hadn't shaken that hand yet. We hadn't had the opportunity to get the information. And so that started a unbelievable journey of progress, focus, personal development, reading books, associated with mentors, dead or alive, being in the spirit of growth, being in the spirit of progress, and not just for ourselves, because it's interesting because we were definitely, we all had a look in our eyes like we are transferring from boy to man. But what's next? What's on the other side? What didn't we learn during boyhood that's on the other side? Should we be fearful because we didn't learn it? Or should we have an open mind and become excited about what's on the other side? And that began the process of personal development. And I can just speak personally to that, the whole concept of personal development. I heard bits and pieces, growing up in the church, and you want to become a better person. You want to be, a blessing to your community. But there were bits of information that I hadn't heard before, especially when we began the road of pursuing how to be good fathers, how to be good husbands, how to be good businessmen, how to be good to our community. And that thirst, we started reaching out to other people, having random conversations. It was, how it is. It's like when you learn something new and it's fresh on your mind, and a random guy could walk up to you and say, "How are you doing?" Well, let me tell you exactly how we're doing. Before you know it, we're so deep into a conversation around growth and progress, and people were attracted. People wanted. There were other folks who were working on themselves, and even if they hadn't started anything in particular, that the concept in the mind of, I want to do better, I want to progress, I want to go from here to there. And we've spent the past 11 years doing that, sharing that with our own network, but at the same time, hosting events, communicating, accessing, building relationships, bringing on clients, and still sharing and infusing the spirit of personal development in the work that we do on a day-to-day basis. And so I am, again, just more than excited to have all of you on a call, and for those who will catching up with us online and will hear this possibly later. We welcome you as well. We thank you for your time, and we look forward to hearing from you on the call and learning more about what it is that we can do to partner and work together. All right, I have to be honest with you folks. I am so fired up right now about this part of the of our mastermind call. You know, as we host this call every the last Saturday of each month, and we spend roughly hour and a half, 2 hours, just diving into what it is that we're working on, highlighting the pros and cons of the past month. What can we do to overcome some challenges that we may have run into? And then we also like to unpack the drama of the successes. You know, what are you doing now that is truly adding value to getting closer and closer to reaching the goals that you set out for yourself? And so this is something I want you guys to think a little bit about and just kind of take a second to reflect on your April and your activities this month. And how has it been of benefit? What did you learn? What happened? You know, like Jim Rohn says, the drama is in the details. So take a second and think about that. I do want to share a little bit of my April. As we finished our last call, and we're getting so close. And for those of you on the call for the first time, every year we host a 90-day goal setting challenge, and from Memorial Day to Labor Day. So we're getting close. We're at May is next week, right? So I believe Monday, and it's been on the back of my mind. It's been, it's actually been on my mind for a couple of months. But so my wife and I, we were celebrating our 10-year wedding anniversary in April of 2020, and had a fabulous plan to go out and go to St. Lucia and just really enjoy being married 10 years. And then COVID happened. And so we had to put that trip on the back burner, and it took us roughly 3 years to actually celebrate our 10-year wedding anniversary. But we were able to do it. And we went to St. Lucia, and we spent that time in a place and part of it is that we've gotten to a point in our relationship where we're not really spending, like, buying things for each other, but we want to have experiences and do things that neither of us have done. And even if we have gone to a certain place, we want to do something together there that neither of us have done. So it's a fresh experience for us. And I just have to tell you, and I don't know if any of you have ever been to St. Lucia, but that I can tell you, I got off the plane there and I was like, this feels like home. I was like, this is unbelievable. And on so many levels, even just, wanted to drive from the airport to the resort. We stayed at the Sandals Resort there, which was unbelievable. But it was roughly about an hour, maybe an hour, 15-minute drive from the airport to the resort in Castries, St. Lucia. And so that gave us an opportunity to just drive around the island and see the people, connect with the people, understand just from the first visual and the glimpse of who they are and what's happening. And not granted, if you're a bit squeamish, right, I can see that being a bit of a challenge, right? Because number one, so they're when they drive, it's on the left side of the car, right? So I remember that when I used to live in England, but it's been a long time, right? And the roads are narrow and there's no guardrails on the side, and it's very mountainous and all of that, right? But oh man, just the beauty of the landscape and the mountains and the ocean, and it's so much in your eyescape all at once. What we're not able to see. What we're, if you've grown up in Florida, it's flatland, right? So you don't see mountains and ocean at the same time, and so and then you're just surrounded by beautiful people, people who are sometimes we go to certain islands and sometimes we see poverty at a level that is just disturbing. I was kind of prepared for that because I've been to other places and saying, okay, sometimes I feel a certain way about that, but that wasn't what I saw. We saw people who were active in what they do every day with the clear eye, it was something about that. And to make a long story short, we were there and I know it's these folks' jobs to make us feel great while we're there. And they did a great job. They did a great job. And all I could think about was, sometimes you go on trips and you say, man, I love this, man. I'm so sad. It's time to go. I left there. I wasn't even sad. I was like, I'm not sad at all because I know I'm coming back. I will be back. This is the beginning of engagement. This is the beginning of residency. And it's those type of, when you have those moments when a new goal has been created, boom, like out of nowhere, now you have a new goal, a goal to have residency or a goal to have property in a place where you've never been. And all I could think about was, I can't wait to begin to share the details of this type of these new opportunities, new bits of understanding, these new goals, now fresh in my mind. And what are we going to do to get there? What does it take to get there? What does it take to, what type of, what's the cost? And then interestingly enough, right, as a financial advisor, I started taking a look at the property and their assets. And I had clients who were very interested in vacation rentals and things like that. So I started diving into it. I'm like, oh, this is not even, we could get a property that we really like, and it's not expensive, right? So it begins the process of something new, something exciting, keeping those type of, activities on our mind, setting new goals, building your why. I mean, all of that. And so it was just truly a blessing. And when I think about the pros and cons of it all, from a pro, there was a new goal. I was able to participate, see something that I had never seen before, do experiences. And then after seeing all of that and having conversations with my wife about it, to feel as if what we're talking about can be accomplished, that we can set a goal and we can actually do it. And that's an important piece, because a lot of times we set goals and then we look at our current reality and say, I can't pull this off. It's like, thank God I'm here. Take a strong mental picture, take as many pictures as you can, but I'm never going to be able to come back. I won't be able to come back here because I don't make enough money, or I don't do this, and who's going to come and who's going to watch that, and what about my job, and what about all of the whatabouts take over. And before you know it, you have completely taken yourself out of the game of accomplishing a goal that you truly want. And that is, I want to kind of highlight the fact that we want to have goals that we truly, truly want, like the ones that are going to make us do what you got to do to get it, right? And so it's cool to have the small, kind of the small goals are attainable, and those I see as kind of those stepping stones toward the bigger. But when you set big, audacious, hairy goals, and you start really taking a second and say, okay, number one, I know I don't have the current resources, the current capacity to do what it is that I'm excited about. But man, the drama of building, of bringing in all the things that you want and need to be successful in accomplishing that new goal. And so I would say the con of it all, it was that I wasn't able to just book a trip and be back in the next month, right? I'm not telling you guys about, hey guys, yeah, so tomorrow we are headed back to St. Lucia. And that's the downside. And so it's, equally, I should be upset that I don't have what it takes to go and do it right again. And that should be the fuel to fire to go and make something happen. And so it was just truly a blessing. I highly recommend folks. I'll tell you one more thing here before we kind of open up the call. My brain was on fire the whole time there. And, in thinking about it, I was like, man, we need a travel agent in our network. And I was thinking, do we have a travel agent in the network? And I started texting people like, hey, man, are you a travel agent? And then in my own travel agent, I started trying to bring her into the network, right? Because I was like, we need to do this because one, my brain just went off into, it's great that my wife and I are here. We're having a great time. But man, it would be awesome to just write off this whole trip. So let's just do a conference. Let's host a conference, right? Let's have something on the agenda every day, from 8 to 11, 8 to 10, whatever, a breakfast conference. Have discussions, have meetings. And then at 10:31, we go back to the pool, right? And the entire conference or the entire event is written off. Like that's where we have to go. And it would be of value to each of us. We all would get a chance to share and connect and enjoy that time in that space. But at the same time, we're actually doing business. We're actually sharing information that's going to help us be successful for the next trip, for the next big event, for the next opportunity to enjoy yourselves and write off the whole thing, right? And so, yeah, man, that was just it was just a truly blessing of a time, and I can't begin to tell you how excited I am to do something like that again, but have all of you guys with me, have all of us there celebrating together, looking each other in the eyes and recognizing that we all are participating in progress. That is the core main objective, that we're participating in progress. And the objective is to create a lifestyle that it's not a one-off situation. Man, you remember that one time? We went to this place and that place and we were around good people and made great connections. Remember that time? Wow, I wish we could do that again. No, this is the beginning of a lifestyle that says, not only are we going to progress, but we're going to progress with other people. We're going to add value to not only our own life and family, but we're going to add value to others, for people who are ready to make the step, for folks who are ready to transition from where they are to where they want to be. That is the core objective. That's always been the objective of the Dreammakers Network. And as we prepare to go into this 90-day goal setting challenge effectively in Memorial Day, that is the core purpose for all of this, is to be able to fully understand where you are, how you got there, and celebrate how you got there. Because sometimes we forget that, there was a time when what you currently have was the big goal. The current life that you live there. So at one point in time in your life, you're like, I can't wait to get to this point. I can't wait to, and so we want to celebrate where we are, but to be in the rhythm of growth and progress, that's the exciting part. And so that's me. I wanted to share my April. I've been waiting to share that with you guys for a month, because that was at the beginning of the month. But it's, and I will tell you, let me just add one quick thing. After coming back, I was fired up. So so everything that the goals, the putting the action, the work into action, growing the business, focusing on passive income, bringing in the right types of clients, doing the things that are really helping to not only meet some of the financial goals, but also having the right network and expanding the network with people who are resourceful, who are goal driven, who are inspirational, people who can add value, to my life, right? That's the kind of, when I think about a healthy network, that's what I think about. And so that work is in full swing, and we're on the road to making it better. So with that, I'm gonna quiet up and open up the call. Would love to hear from you guys as to how was your April. What were you working on? What are you working on this month? You still got a couple of days to close out strong, but what are you working on? What are your goals? What are the pros and cons? What you learned this month? What were the things, the challenges that you had to try to overcome? And let's just talk it through. So let's take a second. We'll open up the call now for anybody who'd like to open up and share. We'll open up the call now. Yep, go ahead.
When I came back from Ghana, and it's been since November, and I'm still percolating and planning my next trip. And I feel you. So let's keep it moving. April was moving along on that trajectory of how do I get to Ghana 50% of my life, or be somewhere. I know I want to be somewhere with people I like. Like that is my goal. I just want to be somewhere with people that I like. And it needs to be warm, and snow should not be even in anyone's vocabulary. So, and so I feel that same level of energy that you're bringing. And June 2024, I'm looking forward to taking a group of people to Accra, Prom, and Cape Coast to learn and to get immersed in the culture and to learn some things about real estate and buying and citizenship and open businesses, and all those things is on the table for June 24. And once I made that goal, I wrote it down and I talked to somebody about it. My girlfriend and I were pushing each other on business stuff, and she sent me some information about a meeting that was in Baltimore. And then she called me back and was like, hey, better yet, go to the one at Howard, same group of people. So I met with a delegation from Ghana 2 weeks ago. Last weekend, I flew up to DC with my little boot, and I flew up and I did my thing and met the people, smiled, kissed babies, did all the things, and sent emails on follow up. So it was a very purposeful trip, and I'm just in prayer. I mean, I know that this feels right, and things are happening to touch that. And so working on some commerce plans with one of the colleagues, one of the guys I met when I was over there, who was our photographer on a trip that I went on. And we've been building, and a travel agent I had there, on point, building. So I'm looking for a travel agent too, as we're trying to coordinate the flights and things, and just trying to get the best deal and making sure that everyone understands how to make it happen. So I feel you. It's definitely a move, and it's nothing like making memories with people that you already love, and making new memories and making new family. So I'm with you.
And Ty, I was actually thinking about you. I was like, and I asked Rhea, I was like, is Ty a travel agent? Because I was like, if she is, like, we're going to centralize this through her.
Right. Like, we got to figure something out. We need a person. We need some kickbacks. We got to get something rocking. Because it's lucrative, but it's necessary. I don't want to do that part of the trip. Like, that's not, coordinating flights is not my jam. I don't want to have to do it. But the trip that I planned with the guy I'm working with, it's banging. I'm like so amped because everything is there. All the questions that I wanted answered when I was there the first time were answered, or will be answered, I should say. And it's allowing me to connect with people who are there, who've been there, who've made the transition. I'm probably going to end up going in August of this year just to put boots on the ground. again, with some people that I've connected with over the last few months. And my trip to DC, I met more people who are already there, who are government officials, who are now citizens. And I just continue building that network of folks. And it's an option. It might not be the option I choose, but it's an option. And I want that to be available for all of us, because it changes how we live our day to day when we're planning for our second home. And it changes what's important. And you see the world just very differently with all international travel. So, yeah.
I love it. I do have a travel agent though, so I'll send you her information. She's awesome. Hopefully next time she'll be on the call. So I'm trying to get her into the network. So, and I've known her a long time, since I was a kid. So it's really cool. So, okay, great. So wait, but before you go on that, Ty, so the next trip that you're planning to Ghana, will it be this summer or is it in this wintertime?
I'm gonna fly over this summer, probably in August. One of my mom's friends has a home there.
Okay.
So I want to do a week with her and a week in. But I would I want to take people in June of next year, but I want to go again in August this year. But I definitely will be planning after that, like a fun trip I want to do in December, but I'm not taking people on my fun trip.
Got it. Got it. Okay. All right. Yeah, because we've been talking about that, and so I wanted to line that up to make sure we knew when you were planning to go, because we want to go. So let's talk that through.
And I'll do a few more interest meetings until June, July, just to kind of, so it's out there. If anybody, I want a group of 15. Start to pay, and paid off completely by March 2024. But if it's not 15, then 6 people will go, we'll rock it out and keep it moving. Like I know that June 2024 is going to be a dope trip. The right people will be there, and that's it.
Got it. All right. Sounds good. All right, let's open up the call. Anybody else want to jump on and kind of share their April and what you're working on? Let's do it. We'll open up the call now.
Sure. This is Kobe Smith.
Kobe, how you doing, man?
I wanted to tell you, congratulations. I'm doing great. How are you?
Good.
So I just want to tell you congratulations on your anniversary.
Appreciate it, man. Yes, indeed.
So I'm CEO of Digital Base Center. Digital Base Center is a business technology incubator. It's actually a joint venture that I started with Kendra Tillman, the president of the Greater Baltimore Black Chamber of Commerce.
Yeah.
And as a member of the chamber, it's been a great benefit to me. And I'm actually going to go and speak later today about the benefits of becoming a member of the chamber. Digital Base Center, its first project is the upcoming Green Locust Marketplace in Locust Point, technology incubator. It's going to be merging both food and beverage ideas, preparation, service to the community, as well as the technology, some of the cutting edge technology that we've seen as far as serving robots, potential drone delivery, and things of that nature, indoor grow walls, and all kinds of accoutrements that can be both aesthetic and useful, as well as combating and bringing new ideas to the community. In order to fund it, we're currently working on funding, and this month has been a nonstop whirlwind of getting our permits and things together, and we're getting set for construction, and we're looking to launch that later on next year.
Okay.
Later on this year.
How did that legislation play out?
That's the next thing that I was going to touch on.
Okay.
Our next initiative was innovation to the community, catalyze innovation, entrepreneur development, and economic development. And that was in the form of increasing the state's investment, or looking to increasing the state's investment into the Black technology ecosystem in Maryland in the form of Senate Bill 125. Senate Bill 125 was a historic and first of its kind piece of legislation aimed directly at small businesses and entrepreneurs in our community via business incubators through investment for company creation, job creation, and economic development throughout the community. The Chamber, the Greater Baltimore Black Chamber of Commerce, sponsored our event that we had in support of it. I'm proud to say that the bill was added to the Legislative Black Caucus 2023 agenda.
Yeah.
It received bipartisan support and was unanimously approved by every single member of the Senate. It did, however, get caught up in the House Ways and Means Committee. It didn't come up for vote in the House Ways and Means Committee, so it didn't make it out of the committee. So it must and will be refiled in some form in the 2024 session.
Yeah.
After so much support that we received for it this year, it's a no-brainer for next year.
Yep. I had a conversation this week with Senator Hayes about the bill.
Absolutely.
So it's definitely running. And this is, this is the real work right now. So once session is over, then that dives into the real work of making sure that it passes in the next session. But at the same time, it's also the real work around making connection with potential funders outside of the legislation, outside of the state, because especially when you start looking at the locations, and so there's probably a lot of municipal funding that's available too, because they equally, even though I'm sure they would love for the state to put the bill for the whole thing, so they don't have to do it. But at the end of the day, it's going to benefit local markets, So, but yeah, no, but I'm glad that it's definitely on the legislative agenda for the Black Caucus, because that's the kind of, when you look at the Black Caucus agenda, and a lot of times, I remember when I originally started getting involved with the Black Caucus, and we started taking a look at the agenda, there was little economic, economic agendas that had teeth, right? And it was, a lot of it was, I would say, like whatever's on the main economic platform for the Democratic Party, say on the national level, and they'll just add that to the Black agenda, and that should not ever be the case. It should always be what is the actual agenda that is going to create progress for Black Marylanders or Black Floridians or Black folks nationwide. And it's also, that's a big part, and that type of legislation would definitely add value to the local economic market. So I'm glad that it was added, and it will be added. I think the long term of it is something like that should stay, should always be around for ongoing funding.
I agree. And as a matter of fact, the reason that Ray Haysbert and Senator Barbara Robinson and the founders that founded the Greater Baltimore Black Chamber of Commerce in 2006, the main reason that they did that was because there already is a Baltimore Chamber of Commerce, but they don't address the specific pain points and specific needs of the Black business community. And that's what we needed representation for in the Greater Baltimore area. We represent Baltimore City, Baltimore County, Harford County, Howard County, and Anne Arundel County. Every county that touches Baltimore City and Baltimore City.
Got it. I actually, while we're talking, and put this, and this is for everybody actually, but definitely, Kobe, put on your calendar May 11th at 11:30 at the UB Blake Center. The President's Roundtable is having the CEO briefing, and it's on offshore wind and the new procurement opportunities in the offshore wind space. And so, Governor Moore is basically come out and said, hey, this is going to be, Maryland's going to lead in offshore wind. So we're going to be the national leader in offshore wind. So then whenever a new market like that is being created and funded, from a from a business perspective, we want to know, okay, great, what are the procurement opportunities? How can we participate? And I think most, particularly when we're talking about African American business owners, don't even know what the job opportunities are, and how can they contract, and if their business can play a part. And so that is a big part of that. So it'll be a combination of legislators and the Black business community at this event. So roughly, I would say, I think maybe about 200 to 300 folks there. The CEO of US Wind will be the guest speaker, and there's a panel to kind of highlight that. But again, it's another example of one of a great room to network, because there'll be folks, particularly in the energy space, who will be there, but always looking to present new procurement opportunities, especially like folks like BG&E, other folks who are in that space, and offshore, and the U.S. Wind Group, their association. They actually are the ones who are building out the actual programming for how Governor Moore is actually, where he got his steam to say we're going to lead in this space. So definitely put that on your calendar. I'll send you an email as well, so you can be there, because we want to make sure that you're in that room.
I appreciate it.
Yep. No, this is good, man. This is good. All right, let's do it. Let's do it.
That's all I had.
Perfect. Well, we're with you, man. We're with you. Let's stay connected. Let's stay on it. I'll get this information out to you today. Put it on your calendar, and man, keep us plugged in. Keep us plugged in on what you're working on and how we can be supportive.
Absolutely, I will. Thank you.
All right. Let's do it. Let's open up the call now. Anybody else want to kind of highlight their April? What you're working on, what was going on, the pros and cons. Give me the drama. Let's do it. We'll take a second and open up the call now. All right. Everybody had great Aprils?
Here we go. All right, just mute. More mute.
Unmute yourself, brother.
I'm off mute. Not like being on a Zoom call where you can see somebody talking. They're like, hey, unmute yourself.
Like, unmute yourself, man.
Okay, that's pretty good. I'm off mute. Okay. All right. Oh man, this good time. My brain is swimming. That's the beauty. That's the beauty of going first. You can get it all off and you can just listen. But now I'm in St. Lucia. I'm in Ghana.
Yeah.
Oh man, I'm thinking about how to grow fruit on the side of a wall, and I'm also thinking on wind. Leading the country in wind. What now?
Offshore wind, brother.
My brain is I know, right? Offshore wind. I'm just as a visual guy, so now I'm just driving through Howard County in my mind, seeing all these big
windmills,
things up there. Like, here we go. Seeing all these windmills flowing and all this stuff. But anyway, this month, and so I'm very grateful on to hear everybody's stuff, and I'm just digging through and filing it away and taking that energy in. And that's the beautiful thing about this call. So I'm always appreciative. But this month it's been a good month. I'd say the most interesting thing that occurred was we launched our Purple Honey initiative.
Mm-hmm.
So, Purple Honey is a portion of Dreammakers Network, the entertainment side, and I'm sure many people who are on the call or might be watching this online right now may have been to or seen something about Purple Honey coming from us, right?
Yeah.
So we had it is a live entertainment thing, and it's run by a gentleman by the name of Kier Johnson. Is a producer. It's his baby. He's a musician who turned into promoter and producer of shows. He put together all these great acts. act, some national act, and kind of blends them in its own way, and then presents them to the market. And it's a beautiful thing. The energy is good, the vibe is good. It's a great event, right? But and we helped it blossom from just a quarterly event to a monthly event, or and sometimes it was a weekly event.
Yeah.
And obviously, if you go back a couple, a year or so ago, live events and live things were completely shut down, due to the pandemic. So trying to reimagine that and go virtual and all those kind of things were on the table for us as they were for everybody during that time, right? So now, pre-pandemic, not post-pandemic, pre-pandemic, we had just started over at, you brought up the Blake Center, over at the Blake Center.
Yep.
We had brought some stuff over there. It was working. We had put things together, and going through the bumps and bruises of combining something and then recreating and attempting to push everybody's agenda forward. And in my estimation, we were just kind of at the precipice of breaking through and getting there, and then obviously, pandemic comes and, everything shuts down, and it is what it is. So that kind of put that initiative, the Purple Honey piece of our network, on hold. But he kept pushing, Brother Johnson kept creating, kept his relationship strong, and in talking to him and keeping that motion going, a new opportunity arrived. So that's for Purple Honey. Now for me, I learning all this stuff and working with kids, and just being a facilitator and somebody who's just passionate and an advocate for what he's doing. And when I advocate for somebody, and I'm advocating for him, I'm in there.
All in.
Aaron knows this, it's like, all right, he's all in. That's why I don't do a lot of stuff. Like, people say, hey man, you can. I say, oh man, I can do that. But then I'm like, no, I'm not doing that, because I know when I do it, I'm right there.
Yeah.
Just call them like, hey man, we got a presentation. Can you meet me and work the table and shake hands while I go? I'm like, oh yeah, no problem. Let's do it. We do dream makers. That's what we do. So sorry, I'm sitting in one of my neighbors. Sorry, one of my neighbors walking up. I live in an interesting neighborhood. Let's say it's on the line. I'm right there on the line. I'm right at the line. I live right on the line. I live right on the line. One half, my next door neighbor is the manager at the Four Seasons club.
Yeah.
And then my across the street neighbor manages another kind of business. So
another kind of business.
Another kind of business. And one of the people involved in that business just walked out. Back to y'all. So anyway, so back to y'all. Anyway, so in my role in trying to work with it, and as I'm moving around with Purple Honey on my mind, because I'm in it and I'm thinking, I'm riding through places, and because I spent enough time in it, I'm like, okay, that space would be good for that. This is the space that's required. All these places, all these retail locations that have shut down, I'm like, oh wow, this is the perfect place to renovate. We can turn this into a sound stage. We can bring, some action. That's what I'm doing all the time as I'm moving. I'm cataloging things and shooting addresses out. I even got as far as to reach out to a couple of my real estate friends and say, man, send me some stuff, some commercial properties that we, what is it? What are we talking square footage to rent? I'm in that mindset, right? Yeah. So time passes and the energy pops up, bam, and then Brother Johnson gets a call from a guy who, a former friend, or not a former friend, but like a former classmate, an old friend, way back, one of those, middle school, high school kind of scenario, who has a sound stage that he went through the same thing everybody Emmett shut down, but kept the core of it. But had a partnership issue, wound up having to split with partners. You guys can walk through the rest, right? You got this guy who's sitting here like, man, who can I, partner with, to get this thing back up and running, or I'm just gonna shut it down. So they have some meetings, and then fast forward after we get the business part straight, and get all these things inked and ready to go. Construction starts, and as a partner, this guy has been like, man, listen, this is I'm ready to, I'm really willing to invest in what's happening. So, Kia lays out what we need this, we need that, X number of mics, and this number of speakers, and this number of video, and it starts running in, and it's coming in. And then we're like, change this, move this, add that, do that, and the space is beautiful now, and it is ready to go, and it fits. And it fits not only the kind of events that Purple Honey does, but it also fits the business model that I was pushing for Purple Honey to have, meaning that control of this, and percentages of that, and all the things that go along with making sure that you have a healthy, strong, thriving business, and you're getting, and you're all my business people, you're vertically integrated. Everything that's happening, and you're seeing pieces from the you're seeing my dollars from the customers, not just providing something and kind of taking your portion, but you're seeing money from all aspects of it. So it's a beautiful situation. The space is fantastic. And now in April, going back to April, that's when, because or you don't know, but Kier being who he is and being putting together such good shows, he's a stickler. He's Dr. Dre. He's Dr. Dre. When he's in the lab, this person, I'm doing this. Man, when we gonna release the album, man? Just run. No, it's not ready yet. These drum kicks need to do this man, and I'm bringing this guy in. He's the equivalent of that, right? But when the momentum got started, and there's a lesson on the back end of it, but when we started the momentum, we did a first Saturday in April. Then there was a first Thursday. Then we did the fight party with Tank. And and then we had a few rentals came through with some different networks. A guy named Lonnie D and another poet, Maui, something or other, young girl, and it was all the energy was good. Everything was possible, and that momentum got started in April. When you said April, I was like, damn, what has happened in April? That's what's really been happening, for that, so there's been 5 or 6 events. The set space is up and running, go right back at it. April, May, June. I mean, this is it. Like the contract is signed, so we are required to have a certain X amount of events and rent a certain. So there's some things happening. This is just the beginning, but in April, that's what happened. It kicked off. So Purple Honey is moving again. One thing that I was saying is the lesson part in it, the personal development piece in it. And I got this from running too, because I had stopped running. I just started back running this week. Man, the thing that you should fight for, or that I will fight for, is to keep momentum. Because the stop and the start and the stop and the start is a challenge. Getting that, get from a physics standpoint. In order to get, that ball moving, it takes more energy to get that first start than it does to keep it going. And when you stop, you have to now build up that energy to start pushing again. And then once the ball starts rolling, it doesn't take as much to keep it going. And that's definitely in business, and that's definitely in anything. So I'm just like the difficulty in getting it back started again. Even with all the lessons learned, you know what to do, but you still have to do it. And that's the same thing with running. When I hit those old hills that I used to hit easy, I know what to do, I know how to hit the hill. I know I can go up it. I know what my time is. I know it takes me 9 minutes to do this. But right now, I'm walking.
Yeah.
I'm not running. I'm walking. Why? Because my heart is busting, and I'm not in good shape. And that's what happens in business. That's what happens physically. So I fight to maintain momentum is the message. So now we get some momentum. So I'm in my position there. I'm gonna fight to make sure that we maintain this momentum. The momentum keeps going, and we can deal. I'd rather be trying to worried about slamming on the brakes than not having the fuel to get the gas going. You get what I'm saying? Let's just push. So that's kind of what's been happening at Able. It's been exciting, and May will be just as exciting, and June will be even more exciting, and July, and all these great things. So that's one thing that's happening.
Let's keep pushing. Now, what would you say is the con? So you kind of highlight the pros. I guess the con was trying to get back on in the rhythm, and it hurts.
Yeah, that's the con. Yeah, the con is the pain. The con is the pain of the loss of momentum. So when you're at, and this is this is grown folks. They say this is grown folks talk, right?
Yeah.
So the people that might be listening in the network have things that you're doing. You're doing new stuff. A lot of the stuff is stuff we might have started and stopped, right? So the con is when you've already done it once, you know what it takes to do it. So as you're redoing it again, there's a little bit of kick yourself in the butt, like, yo, you shouldn't be doing this. You've already done this. You feel what I'm saying? You should not be doing this again. You already did it.
Yeah.
It's that and the challenge that even though you're kicking yourself about it, you still have to do it in order to get to where you have to go. So it's that conversation back and forth with yourself as you go, in addition to the pain that it takes, and the pain is maybe effort, whatever time, whatever that pain point is about doing it, to get the ball rolling again because you're sure of it because you've already done it. On the flip side, if this is something that you haven't done before, the pain is different, but you have to apply the unknown to it. Like, oh man, this is painful, and I don't know where it's going. So you got to fight that part. In this particular scenario, it's not that. It is there's some unknowns to it, but we haven't made it to the unknown sector yet. We've made it back to zero. Kind of deal. So that's the pain part. The painful part is the pushing on it and making sure that it goes. So that's where we are.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm number one. I'm glad that you outline what's happening with Purple Honey. I mean, it's just it's more than exciting because when you think about building something, you also want to have events, and it's even better when you can have an event space. And we've gone through this. When we originally started connecting with Care and Purple Honey, it's actually been 10 years. We connected with Care and Purple Honey 10 years ago, and and we've seen like the highs, the lows, and now it seems like this process of where we are right now is really the beginning of greatness at the next level. Because like the content and the product that is the Kerr Johnson production, and whatever that production is, it's extra quality. I mean, it's quality to the next level. And I think the thing that's been most exciting for me, and looking at it even from afar, is just seeing him in the lab, if you will, to be creative. And I'm, and from a personal development perspective, I'm always trying to figure out what does it take to get someone into a creative space. where you're getting a chance to see them do their life's work, and when they can actually be really creative in that space. And putting Kier Johnson in a sound stage every day is the epitome of he's in his lab, in his creative space. And it's just fun to watch. It's just fun to watch, and you get to a situation where when you just believe in what's coming next. So then then the next part is, all right, well, great. Well, we know that part is going to be great because he's in his creative space and it's going to be a masterpiece, and that's what it is. Then you start thinking about, okay, well, what are the barriers that could potentially or maybe already getting in his way? He doesn't have the creative capacity to overcome that challenge. And that's where we come in and to address maybe some business related issues, maybe it's marketing, maybe it's whatever the case, and building networks and making sure it's fully, because the big objective now is to have a consistent flow of events and have a consistent flow of people enjoying those events. And that is where the rubber in the road is right now, right? And so, but it's just exciting, man. It's just always exciting to see people in their creative space, and that's where he is. I love marketing out those promos and everybody's like, whoa, what is that? Like, what's actually happening? And if you watch the promo, it's only roughly 45 seconds to a minute. You see everything. You see what's happening at the last event. And going back to our Engage days, people would see these promos and yikes, like, whoa, I gotta be there. And the same thing in this space. So you have no reason. This is only this. And then I guess the other part is that, going back to your point about the business partner and his willingness to just invest and say, yo, this is great. Okay, great. Let's put some more into this. So the summer looks bright, and markets in cities like Baltimore. And if you have, it's one thing to have, the summer. It's different from in Florida where you got 12 months and you're not really there's not a lot of pushback because of it's cold outside kind of thing. But in markets like Baltimore, you have to really take advantage of the summer. And people are looking. They want to be entertained. They want to be out, and it's exciting to have something to give. To be competitive in that space, and with everything that's going on right now in this, the state of Maryland and its renaissance and ability and resources being available that weren't ever available, now becoming available, and they're looking for content leaders. So it's a great time to be focusing on your goals in every capacity, and this is just one other example, so Pat, so next week is the first week in May. What's happening in the first week in May at Soundstage?
So, I didn't, we were talking about the thing. I even said the name. So the place is called My Familiar Soundstage. It holds about 210 people standing, maybe 170 seated. So what we'll do, and it's got everything needed, is the full sound stage, like I said before. So next week, or as a matter of fact, this Thursday, is the LMAO, Laughing My Ass Off comedy show hosted by Baltimore's number one, well, not number one comic, I guess Jeff Hilarious besides Baltimore's number one comic, but what's that? Hosted by, Larry Lancaster. Then this upcoming Tuesday, there's something called Mango Tree Tuesdays, which is done by poets, the whole poetry thing, hosted by a guy named Cobb. And he's going to have a group of poets come through, and they also are combining it with a podcast, because it has a full studio, meaning that, it's got all the bells and whistles and abilities to stream and all that kind of stuff. So the podcast will happen, and then there'll also be, the poetry show. That's Mango Tree Tuesday. And then the a 90s kind of tribute show, so there'll be, you know, poets, comedians, and some live entertainment and DJ, all kind of around the 90s, theme with the 90s. So that'll be good. And then that following Saturday starts. Is it Saturdays? I think it's Saturdays with Saturdays.
Yeah.
Saturday. Oh, Soulful Saturdays. That's it's a day party. And it should be hosted by April Watts, is another local radio person, former radio personality. And we haven't signed a contract for her yet, though. But we'll see. We said it, but you know, until it's signed, it's not signed. But if not, it'll still happen. It'll be somebody else. But the Soulful Saturday series will start, and that'll be every Saturday. So there's a lot.
Oh wow!
Then on the first, it's every Saturday. So then on the first, there'll be another round of First Thursday comedy, Mango Tree Tuesdays, which is Tuesday, and then the Purple Honey will come back. So it's about 5. I'm trying to get about 5 things in that first week, and then just fill it out with the regular stuff. So
yeah,
should be busy, and we should be also looking to hire some people very soon. So if you know some people who need some work,
yeah,
in the network, for my Chamber of Commerce people, Kobe, if you got those people that need to work, want to work in that industry, I'll be reaching out pretty soon, probably in June, to get this thing ramped up. So awesome. So I'm not June, May, to get it ramped up. Awesome.
The crazy part is I was just looking at the calendar as you were talking through everything, and it's in an ideal world, at least 5 days a week there's something going on there. There's some type of event, some activity happening, and then the community becomes used to that, and they come out and support, and they come for their opportunity to get some entertainment and connect and get refreshed from the week, and to have that kind of resource, and to have it be a Purple Honey production, like that's the goal. And so it's good to be able to highlight kind of where we were, what's going on now, but what does an ideal world look like when it comes to this space and the production. And we talked a little bit about that this week, Paz, just about what does it really look like, from a wide real world perspective for Purple Honey. And this is definitely steam in the right direction. And I can't be more excited about it. And the thing is, and the one great part, I was in a conversation the other day with some old heads, some folks who've been around for a little while, and they talked about how Baltimore was just it was a part of the quote unquote Chitlin circuit. And so you got the top artists, the top Black artists, back in the 50s and 60s they had to come. And so they were either on Pennsylvania Avenue. And even if you go before that, I mean, we can go even further back, and to make sure that that happens again for this generation, and have resources and people who are willing to commit it and say, this is the work, this is my life's work. And my life's work is to, because, the one part, it's like Baltimore has this great history. The sad part is it wasn't effectively passed down. So it was just this era, if you will. So it's just like, oh, you remember the Harlem Renaissance era in Baltimore, or you remember the Cab Calloway era. And, it's one thing, we want to be able to have these types of great, resourceful, businesses and programs happening, but we have to do a better job of keeping it going, and it's still valuable per generation. And ideally, that's why it's always fun when I see when Kier has this stuff going on and his kids are in there working, and I'm like, let's get this next generation involved. And then when when we were doing stuff at the UB, and Kayla put together her own band. I was like, this is the way you do it. I was like, the apple didn't fall far from the tree. And so it's exciting. It's exciting. I think that the marketing, as we talked about, the marketing piece is that's the part, partnering, making sure more people know what's going on. Because once you see it once, and inviting people to come out and sponsoring a table just so you can get people in the room and that kind of thing. So it's exciting, man. So I'm glad you outlined that, shared a little bit of what's happening with the family, with the Purple Honey family.
Yeah, one project, passion project. That's for my dream making people. That's for my dream making people. I don't want to get on here and just, talk about working out and making money. That's for my passion project.
Oh man. Yes, indeed.
I'm excited to be involved, and we draw energy from people who are in their passion, who are really in their passion. Brother Johnson is really in his passion. So to be close to that, to be and to assist where I can, is very exciting. It's very exciting.
I love it. All right. Anybody else want to jump in and kind of share their April? We'll take this second and open up the call now.
Byron, can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir. Very
good. This is Joe Malik. I live in Maryland, but flew into Eugene, Oregon, late yesterday evening. So it's still very, very early. They're on Pacific time. My son and I, my younger son, who's 18, they have a spring day here at the University of Oregon. The city of the home of the clock. So I'm gonna be brave. For me personally, I am an engineer by profession, but stepped away from that career over 20 years ago, going to an arena where I could serve more people. So I kind of ventured into network marketing, and have been with the same company now for 23 years.
Wow.
March. I'm an executive recruiter for the company. We're doing very, very well. I've got 3 children. I've got a 20-year-old who's at Temple. Many, all-star recruit for the school with over 40 college scholarships. My youngest son now that I'm hanging out with here in Oregon, he's still in high school, goes to Catholic school in Baltimore, St. Francis Academy. You guys probably had a all American kid, got over 30 college scholarships, all of the best schools you can think of.
Wow.
Michigan, Ohio State, so he's decided kind of working on staying here at Oregon because he loves everything he sees, so for me, April has been really, really great. Since the pandemic, a lot of my priorities have changed, especially when it comes to life. What I'm doing now is just simplifying everything, just a life of simplicity, and just enjoying everyday life because, so many times we just go, and we miss out on all of the things that matter so much to us, So I just basically just the little things that don't seem to make any difference right now is what I try to enjoy every single day, becoming a better person. I'm reading a book right now called Wonder Drug, written by 2 physicians, 2 medical doctors, and all it's talking about is how serving people comparing, you know. So, you know, with my goal going forward is basically becoming a better everything, a better father, a better friend, a better everything. Because if you work on yourself, you can take care of other people. You know, sometimes a lot of times we just neglect ourselves, and we're mostly, you know, looking at doing maybe doing something for others while we're neglecting ourselves. So you know, if you're on the plane, the first thing they tell you is put on your mask first. Because if you take care of yourself,
Yeah.
then you can take care of others. You know, I tell all of the people in my network when I'm on stage speaking, you know, your greatest asset, your number one asset is you. Right? You know, it starts with, because if you take care of yourself, if you take care of your body, there's really nothing else that you can accomplish. You know, because with your body, with yourself, comes everything else: peace of mind, success, all of that. All right. But at the end of the day, you know, I can move into I can sell my home right now, go buy another home, but you can move out of your body and go buy another body. It's impossible. So you got to take care of yourself. You got to take care of your mental state, your peace of mind, and all of those things. You know, so Byron, thank you so much for putting this together. I truly appreciate you. I appreciate our friendship and all of that. And I definitely look forward to being more and more on this calls. Thank you so much.
Oh man, I appreciate it, man. And you know, you outlined so much. You know, one, I'm sitting there listening to you talking about being in Eugene, Oregon, and just the excitement around. You know, first of all, just congratulations and children being able to be focused and disciplined enough to have major universities clamoring to to have them come to their schools and have scholarship opportunities and the space that a young person, they'll never forget that. You know, they'll for the rest of their life, they'll always know that they did well enough, they were disciplined enough to have major D1 universities, and across the board, you know, providing scholarships for them to come and study there. And so now the ball is in their court to say, okay, how do I want to play this out? Not only for the next 4 or 5 years, but what legacy do I want to be a part of? You know, and that's something that is so valuable for people, especially young people, to know that they're walking into this massive new network in terms of education that they'll walk away with. I'm literally still, I probably wear something Tuskegee every day, something, whether it be you know, socks, lapel pin, something in some capacity. But it's all about as I was listening to you, I think about that time in my life when I stepped on campus and immersed myself into what was current and what I was seeing, and then also into the history. And at that moment, I realized this will be not only a lifelong commitment, but a generational commitment. You know, and so it's for 2 seconds, I was in your son's, you know, energy for a second, just basking in that. And then so congratulations to you, and just, you know, investing into your children at that level. And I'll tell you, you know, thank you for joining the call as well. You know, when I started the financial planning division over at our firm, we really didn't have a resource for helping our clients on the estate planning side. And I think, and Joe, actually, I'm trying to think, did we meet at one of our at a Engage event? Now that I'm thinking about it, it could have been around that time we met. But since that time, all of my, you know, estate planning strategy for our financial plans, we've done through Legal Shield. And it has been just amazing to be able to plug our folks in, and, you know, the level of resources that have come, and making a simple, you know, making a complex issue in terms of estate planning much more simplistic, and using those legal services, man, it's been a home run for our business. And so I appreciate your partnership over the years, and looking forward to greater things, man. It's just going to get better from there. So appreciate you, man.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
All right. We're at 8:22. And like I say, usually this call is roughly an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours. But I was really just eager to hear from you guys, and so I didn't want to rush that. I wanted to hear and just kind of get into your world for an hour or so. But as I mentioned earlier, we're headed into the 90-day goal setting challenge, and this is this is an exciting time. And why it's exciting is because it's an intentionally focused time on your goals, and it's we're outlining 3 months, a period of time where you can really put your blinders on and say, you know what, I know I started a goal back in January, but life happened, and but now I want to recommit. Or for someone who has now kind of moved into something and they want some guidance on how to really master that moment, how to focus in on a goal and pursue it and do it with energy and excitement and with mentorship and the whole nine. And I got to tell you, man, I was out there in St. Lucia thinking about this, just dove in. And so actually, I mentioned I'm a part of another mastermind group called the Momentum Mastermind. And we were reading a book called The 12-Week Year. The 12-Week Year. And I got to tell you, that was my reading, or I should say I was listening to a book during the trip. And so just imagine kind of being in my world for a second. So I'm listening to this book, 12-Week Year, all while I'm looking at, this beautiful water and sunsets and the energy of, I should probably kind of take a second and just highlight this particular resort, because you're on a place where mostly, I would say 90% of the people who were there are people who are either newly married, so newlyweds, or people celebrating wedding anniversaries. So just take a second, and for those of you who fully understand like the laws of attraction and intentionality and all of the the metaphysics, if you will, this energy was high. I mean, energies were high because people were in celebration mode. They were celebrating their new marriage. They were celebrating longevity. I mean, we had conversations with young newlyweds who were, fresh in their early 20s, to newlyweds who were in their 60s, and folks who were celebrating their marriages after, say, 50 years. So folks who were in their late 70s, early 80s, and they were celebrating, right? And so there's something powerful about bringing high energy people, for whatever the reason it is, and bringing them all in one location. So that's that. So that energy's there. It's a beautiful setting, and I'm listening to this book, the 12-week year, which highlights how to shrink your goals, your annual goals, and make them quarterly goals. How your year is no longer 12 months, but your year is now 12 weeks. And what does that really mean? And I gotta just tell you like this, and this is, I don't know any other way to explain it, but books like this are for leaders. Books like this, people who are really serious about their goals, and about the people who aren't just talkers, but they're willing to actually go out and try something that can, take their life from where they are to where they want to be. This is the market, right? It's because I can tell you right now, if you don't already have a leadership mindset, you're not going to finish the book, because when you start thinking about what that really means to shrink your goals, your annual goals into your 12-month goals into 12-week goals, and what's required on a day-to-day basis, that basically your daily goals, or what used to be like your monthly goals, are now your daily goals. You know, that concept for people who, who may, like in their mind to think about goals, but aren't really willing to do the work to go and get it. It's not the book for them. It's not the book for them. This is the book for people who truly, as Joe just mentioned, really want to get the most out of their life, and you are committed to progress, personal development, and I kind of use that word personal development to highlight the fact that interpersonally, you have mind, body, and spiritual goals that you want to pursue, that you want to have as part of your lifestyle. And some people pursue them and some people don't. Some people love to think about them, and sometimes that may make them feel good because they're thinking about it, right? And sometimes for some people, thinking about it is enough. But for others, and I know the folks on this call, pursuing is the goal. Living it is the goal. Having it and creating a new lifestyle, a new way of thinking, a new way of acting. And when I say new, meaning just an enhanced version of who you are, not some different person where you become this person that's like completely no one recognizes because you're acting out of your own essence. But we're talking about taking you from where you are to where you want to be. And the exciting part when we start thinking about where you want to be, it's like, well, who told you should go there? Like, where are you getting this new objective from? And if you started the road of personal development, you can see, the short, the mid, and the long-term goals. And so you're not really deviating from what you've built. You're just continuing down that road. You're continuing on the journey of growth and enlightenment and personal development. And so I am more than excited to do this with all of you, to go through this book with all of you. I highly recommend that you download, if you got your Audible. I haven't even gotten my book yet because I haven't ordered the book to have here at my personal library, but get it on Audible ASAP, because it fits perfectly in line with our 90-day goal setting challenge, because 12 weeks is roughly 90 days, right? And so, but to be able to begin to unpack what that means. And so, one, having the goal that you've identified, this is my goal, and this is why this is my goal. And I want this call to be more of a preparatory for as we go into the 90-day goal setting challenge. But I will tell you, the actual goal setting challenge is a mind, body, and spirit challenge. And so when we talk about how do we break that out, like how do we identify our goals for our mind, our goals for our body, and our goals for our spiritual goals. And the way I personally outline that is, things that are associated with the mind are the things that I'm doing like in business and within my career, and things that I'm reading for the purpose of growth in those areas. Communications and networking and conferences that I attend for the purpose of growth in business, career, and all things kind of intellectual, to focus on growth in that capacity. So that's the way I approach the mind goals, is what am I doing to further my business interests, my career interests, and who am I associating with? What am I reading? What am I watching? What am I feeding my brain with? And who am I spending my time with to create progress for my mind goals? The body, as we pretty much all know, what are we doing to stay in shape, and what are we eating and what are we drinking? And do we have a process? And who are we spending time with? and who, just all of that. It was interesting last night at the airport, and I was having a conversation with this guy, and his food came out, and I was like, wow, that looks good. And you could tell the guy was in shape, really in shape, guy from Texas. And he had this beautiful salmon fillet, sauteed vegetables, and they had like 2 scoops of mashed potatoes on there. And I mean, he devoured the salmon, he devoured the sauteed vegetables, didn't touch the mashed potatoes, did not touch them. Had, big glass of, like, he kept down in, like, water and lemon and all that. I was like, hey, I'll have what he's having. Like, I will have what he's having, because you could see it. I mean, his energy was high, his body looked great, and he was putting the right types of food in his system. And it was clear the guy was rocking. I'm like, yeah, that's what I want, and it's good when you associate with people who are doing that kind of thing. And especially when you have goals around health and wellness. And, so like Dwayne Mitchell, he's kind of our leader in terms of keeping us focused on a day-to-day basis in our health and wellness group chat. And we see every morning, he's on it. He's posting what he did. I was just telling Paz the other day, I was driving to the gym earlier this week, and I'm, going early. So I'm in my car roughly at, 6:15 or something. And I get a ping on my phone. Paz has already finished his workout. I'm like, what? I'm thinking I'm getting ahead of the game. He's done. He's done. We have a family group that's doing like workout, and I say Paz and his wife, they were one of the winners of the health and wellness challenge. I'm like, yikes! Like these folks are kicking it, right? And so I'm like, but you want to be around people who are pursuing that, especially if it's relative to your goal, and say, well, what are you doing? What are you doing that's working? And try it out, right? And if they're doing something that's working, and you start looking at your plate or you start looking at your activity, I was telling my wife the other day, I was like, I used to kind of think, well, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, that's going to be my goal. Well, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I get in the gym. And I was just like, you know what? Why not just go every day unless I really have something going on? Like if I have something I can't go, then okay, I won't go. But why not just go every morning? What am I actually like? What stopped me from going? And it's always, well, you got to get your sleep. Like, oh, just go to bed a little earlier. Then I'm gonna stop staying up. Because what I got caught the past couple of nights. It's the playoffs, right? So and we were watching the Lakers. The Lakers way out in the West Coast. And watching them. By the time the game, are they going to overtime? Oh yeah, it's 1:30 now, right? Eastern time. Like, go to bed, dude, if you want to get some extra sleep. But don't push that on the morning. So because that morning time should be dedicated to goals. And so, for me, so I got my headphones I got my headphones on. I'm listening to my book that's helping me from a mental perspective to help me expand and grow on the career side and business. But all while trying to get this activity in, trying to get my steps in, trying to hit these goals for the body, and so being able to, make sure that we're surrounding ourselves around the right people per goal area, so if you're pursuing a mind, body, and goal challenge and mind, body, and spirit goal, then you want to go through those steps. What am I doing to feed those areas? What am I doing? Who am I spending my time with? And what's the daily regimen? And the same thing on the spiritual side. And people have different objectives when it comes to their spirit and what they identify as enlightenment. For me, it's a combination of listening to great ministers who can just educate and enlighten my spirit, to teach me about things I just didn't know about, help unpack, the Bible in ways that wasn't clear. For me, that's a big part of it. But then the other part is spending time in those areas that I know, I understand, and I care about. Spending time doing things that, and for me, I serve on nonprofit boards, and these are organizations that are at the core of my belief system, and so every day being able to invest and support and find ways to expand the mission of those organizations, that's part of my spiritual growth as well as, my belief system. And so being involved and trying to create as much of involvement and learning. And so I would say that as you approach your 90-day goal setting challenge, you can either pick one thing and say, I'm just going to laser beam focus on that one objective. I'm not going to let anything else get in my way. I'm going to create blinders, so I'm not disturbed. I'm not allowing any distractions to get into my way, because I'm focused on daily, intraday progress to hit those goals by Labor Day. Or you can say, well, I think I like this mind, body, and spirit model, and I want to pursue that as well. But I would say either pick one or the collective. But it's exciting, man. It's just I love it. I mean, this will be our 10th. This is probably this would be our 10th year doing this. As we're going into our 11th year, because we on the back end of our first year was when we started the first 90-day goal set challenge. And so, and I tell you, one of the fun things that I like to do is look at like the Facebook memories, and it takes us all the way back to what we were doing this time 8 years ago, 12 years ago, 14 years ago for me. And every summer, it's always, you could see there was a post about something I was doing that was associated with the 90-day goal setting challenge. And, and it's like, why ever stop doing that? This is just, it's fun, because you are doing something that you really want. And so that's always fun. But two, it's cool to do stuff like that with other people. People, that whole concept of like-minding, surrounding yourself around like-minded people and watching them go through a 90-day goal setting challenge and watching their successes. I love hanging around people who win, because that means if they keep winning and I keep rubbing shoulders with them, I'm probably going to win at some point too, right? So it's just law, right? That's just what's supposed to happen. So people who are pushing and they continue to go after what it is that they care about and their beliefs and their goals, and so, that part in and of itself is exciting, alone. So, I did put on the chat here, the 12-week year. I say, dig into it, man. Dig in. I signed up for a live workshop that they're doing. I'm actually going to be traveling that week. I'm like, okay, I'm going to carve out whatever 2 hours of that from that conference. And I want to lock in, because it's roughly like a week or two before we start the goal setting challenge. And so you can go to their website, www.12weekyear.com, the number 12weekyear.com, to just learn more about the resources. But I highly recommend you go to Audible and download the book. I mean, first of all, I highly recommend make sure that everybody who can hear my voice right now has Audible or some type of book listening platform on your phones. That is the way. I mean, as much as I love books and being able to sit down and read, we don't have the kind of time that allows us to dive in like that. And so listening, though, riding our cars, working out, cooking, whatever the case, you're getting that information, getting it in before you go to bed, getting it in the mornings, just being able to control. I'll tell you the truth. You know, a lot of times when you wake up in the morning, you want to get to see what the weather is, and you turn on the news, and your intent was just to see what the weather is for the day. But before they get to the weather, they spend the first, XYZ minutes focus on who all got murdered last night, and I'm like, I can't do it. Like, I can't. I got to control my mental, and I got to control my spirit. I don't want to hear about it. I just want to focus on what's going to keep my energies high, because that's controlling your mind. And I can see if it was like maybe one day it's like that. And unfortunately, there's a lot of murders, if you will, but every day it's the same thing. So I'm like, I can just look up the weather on my phone. I'm like Baltimore weather, Sanford weather for the day. Like, I can't get caught up in all the other jazz that it's going to put into your brain. So I'm trying to protect my mindset. And I share the same thing with my daughter. I'm like, don't, make sure that your mind is really focused on what you're pursuing and getting the right information. Maybe you're watching something you're learning, you're getting better. This life is about progress, and not just your life, but having other people see you go through the process of getting better. That's contagious. Like, and when people see you working hard, showing that you're disciplined, and looking at the results of your hard work and disciplined lifestyle, that's contagious. And isn't that what we're here to do? Like, we want to be an example for other people to get better. And, and maybe that's not your objective, but that is for me. It's not just about, oh man, did Deese and his family do well? It's about how many people are we even willing to, help take to the next level? How many people are we willing to share and sow the type of seeds that we're talking about personal development and progress? I mean, why not? Why not invest in somebody else's life? You never know what people are going through. And you can see somebody who literally, smiling and came and gave you a hug. You never know what's going on in their mind at that particular time. And so investing and sowing seeds into someone's life is, for me, part of the goal. Like, that is part of the life's work. I tell people, I was raised by preachers and teachers, right? And so that is who I am, trying to sow seeds that will enlighten someone to go from where they are to where they're trying to go. And so that's the lifelong journey. And the more we can get people to, overcome their circumstances, overcome the current issue that's staring them in the face, and to be able to recognize that there's more coming. Today is rough. Got it. Okay. Yeah, it was a bad day, right? There's more progress coming. And how do we know that? Because once you go down the road of personal development, meaning once you go down the road of identifying what is it I'm here to do in this life, and you stay focused on doing daily goals and having daily goals and moving in the direction, because you're alive, you're going to have bad days. Bad days that happen. That's just going to happen. We are, finite people. We're humans. We all bleed and can be knocked upside the head. And, so bad things happen. Things that we didn't want, they happen. But we also have to focus on progress. We also have to focus on our life's work, knowing that there will be issues that pop up, throughout this life. And so I think for me personally, it's just the fact of knowing that this is my life's work, and I wouldn't want to be in the space of not knowing what I'm here to do. And I shouldn't say the good part, but the fact is there are a lot of people who don't know what they're here to do. And that's the work. That's the work for us. That's the work that we spend every day trying to open somebody's eyes and to get them to, recognize that today is today, but tomorrow's tomorrow, right? And so that's what I got, man. I'm telling you, I'm just fired up about this this 90-day goal setting challenge is coming up. This book has been everything. I'm actually reading another book, and I kind of switch it up a little bit depending on what mood I'm in. Kind of have roughly maybe 3 books that I'm listening to. It's another book though that I'm listening to right now called "The End of the World Is Just the Beginning." If that book title would have been "The End of the World" and that was the end of the book, I probably wouldn't have read it. I probably would have been like, you know what, I ain't got time. But and actually how I came across this is worth talking about. Crap, I can't think exactly why I did this, but or maybe well, I think it actually was around the time when there were some issues going on like globally, and I know what it was. When it was the formation of the BRIC alliance, which is basically Brazil, Russia, China, South Africa, and trying to create their own currency. And so, I started diving into that and was having some conversations with some clients about it. What does that mean for the U.S. market? What does that mean for the dollar and the whole nine? And always looking for other, it's one thing to listen to kind of the current stuff that's happening, but also love to get like historical context on everything, so we can not just look at it based on what's happening now, but what's been the historical situation and the trajectory, and just recognizing sometimes we're just at a point of change, and to be okay with that, and just realign what you're doing to flow with change. And so I went to Audible and just typed in the word globalization, and just all these different books popped up. And I was going through, I was like, oh, what's that about? And I'll read the summary. I was like, okay, great. I want to add that one. I want to add that one. And then I dove into the one that said, the end of the world is just the beginning. And I will tell you, it has been just a mind blowing. And when I say mind blowing, it's been such a great book because the author, I can't think of his name right now, but the author, the way he presents, he's like a consultant to like nations and large corporations, but he gives you a very macro view of everything, extreme macro, where, because a lot of times we're very personal in how we see what's going on, what's happening to me and my neighbor and our community and that kind of thing. But when you go really macro and you look at the history of macroeconomics and political economies and all that, now you're just looking at it as, well, this is what happened during that regime and this regime. And so the history lesson has been amazing. So if you're ready and willing to kind of nerd out on history and economics, I highly recommend that book. The End of the World Is Just the Beginning. And we're roughly about 10 minutes away from 9:00, so I do want to pepper in a couple books in here before we finish up. And if any of you guys have good books, and actually, Joe, I wanted to come back to you. Did you say the book you were reading is called Wonder Drug? Wonder Drug. Okay. Yeah, got that. Yeah. Joe, I know you probably read this one.
By two medical doctors.
Got it. The other book I got, and I'm probably about 40% in, but it's definitely been one of my workout books, is Building an Empire by Brian Carruthers. So that is a good one, especially going back what you were talking about, Joe, and building out like in the network marketing space. Great book. I mean, it's a great book, especially in terms of how to organize people around a singular objective and the way to break that out. And it's great book. And really enjoying that. It's a good book while I'm on the tread, right? Because you're listening, he's so fired up. Yeah, so that's Building an Empire by Brian Carruthers. And just think, I think I may have highlighted it the other day on our last call. I literally bought a bunch of like copies of The Gospel of Wealth by Andrew Carnegie. I bought a bunch of them and just giving them away to people. It's like, all right, hey, thank you for the conversation. hey, matter of fact, I just want to give you this. Another way to show somebody, you value their time, and just giving away a book that I know has been great for me and my business, and to be able to invest in somebody else, as a point. What's the book that I love all the time? I talk about it all the time. The 7 spiritual laws of success. And that's one of the things that Deepak Chopra talks about in the law of giving, that he teaches his kids to always be ready to give and sow into someone's life, and so either you show up to someone's house with a note and just hand them the note, or you brought a flower or something, because from his perspective, he's talking about there is the flow of exchange. Like when you give, you don't have to wonder if you're going to receive anything back. It's just the law. You give and receiving comes back. So you don't even sometimes, well, I'm not giving nothing. What am I going to get back? Like you don't even go there. You just give because that's just the flow of the law. It happens, right? And so trying to get into that rhythm of just, whether it be, sowing a seed, a mental seed, speaking to someone's life, giving something, but that the flow works, the give and exchange of giving and receiving. And so that's an all-time favorite law, the 7 spiritual laws of success by Deepak Chopra. Anybody else have any good books that we should be adding into our library and we should jump in? Let's open up the call. Anybody have a good one that we need to dot in?
My mentor is one of the guys that's on my Hall of Fame wall. David Goggins just dropped another book called Never Finished. Never Finished. Yeah, he's a very serious person.
Yeah.
And serious. And his first book was Can't Hurt Me. And it was just more of his, his story, his memoir. And then, this is like a continuation of that. Obviously, it was called Never Finished. So, but it's good though. I mean, I've only just started it, in a few days, but already has gotten my mind right. So for all of you that are trying to get physically correct, I mean, it's a life lesson too, but it's specifically because he's a physical guy. He's a former Navy SEAL and a world record chin-up guy, and all these other things he's done. It's been, physical things, and an ultra marathon run, so 200 miles kind of thing. So that, so it's got a physical base to it. So if if you're all working out, you pop this in. It's twofold. One, it makes you be like, oh, this guy, and he's alive and like our age, so it's like, oh, okay, and you're gonna talk trash to me while you're doing it. So that is a good one, and it's a good one. It's a good one for working out because he's actually doing it right now. So I like that, and and the principles are great. That's a good one that I'm working on, and then the other one that was good, and for Joe, it just keeps popping back up, man. I just finished the Phil Knight thing, Phil Knight, the Shoe Dog.
Oh.
And it's a fantastic. Oh man, it's a great memoir about how Nike got started.
What's it called? Shoe Dog?
Listen to that, go ahead. It's called Shoe Dog. It's Phil Knight's memoir. And it's done by the years. So it's like the 81, I think 82. So really, it's now. I was hoping he would have took it to 85, 87, so I could see that, so I could hear the him and Jordan thing.
Yeah.
It's only it's the beginning, the very beginning of Nike. So like it's 60. I don't know, but it's the mid 60s to the early 80s. So
wow.
20 years of history, but it's the beginning, the very beginning of Nike from him, and then all the way up through the 80s when they kind of took over and what they did to the shoe industry, the running industry, and all that kind of stuff. And it's crazy. And what he did and the pressure he was under is so far ahead, so different. I mean, he was robbing Peter to pay Paul, just regular entrepreneurial, with bank not, bouncing checks,
real gritty, wow, I'm an entrepreneur. And then now if you look at Nikes, I mean, I'm talking, everybody on the phone, if that doesn't have Nikes on, has, 4 or 5 pairs of Nikes at their house, at home, to the point where what he created as a shoe, from my perspective, in the hood, people actually at a point will get killed over
oh yeah.
shoes. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
It's his idea, but to hear what he did, just as a regular dude, this is what I did. I started it, and then bringing it back to Joe, he's a big Oregon guy. They went to Oregon, University of Oregon, and all that. Huge, yeah. This is a guy from Oregon, yeah. And to hear him talk whimsically about it and his running coach and how much the university mentor him and and all that and and to know what they are now and what they did. But now he goes through it. He talks about his college days and the whole nine. But it's a good book, Shoe Dog. It's just it's been on the list and I finally got through it. And one other thing about that about the Audible piece, you laid it out immaculately about how you can get through books and how important it is and how you can. You just can't pull out some pages and go. Although I love to pull out pages and go and highlight out my notepad, and that's what I'll probably do with the 12-week a year. But to really get busy, like really ingest it. But if you're just you're getting through stuff, and you just want to make sure there's something good at top of mind. You can also go into your Audible app and speed it up. Once you listen to it for a little while, don't leave it on 1. See how fast it can go. Take it to, 1.5 or 2 or something like that. They'll sound a little funny at first.
Interesting.
But then eventually your brain will catch up to it. Yeah, eventually your brain will catch up to it and it'll just be normal. To the point where if you take it back to 1, you'll be like, wow, I've been talking so slow. You'll ramp it up. But let's talk about time. It does save you time. You know what I'm saying? And the faster you can listen to it, if you can get on Alvin and Chipmunk vibration and really still take it in, it's a powerful thing. We're not using any of it at all.
Yeah.
You can get it in, you can get it in. If you're really trying to cram in some information or
you're
trying to get through something quickly that you say it's like a memoir or something like that, something that's like, stories or
30 hours.
23-hour books that are like, wow, you can get them down if you really listen to them, a little bit faster. So just a little Audible hack from a savvy vet.
Oh yeah. Oh man. It's fun when you go on Audible and you look at like your first books that you downloaded on there, and it was at the beginning of this network. Really, let's just show you how long we've been doing this thing. And actually, I was just talking to your point about some of these bigger books. Last week, I was the other day I was talking to Phil and John Lewis the other day, and was recommending one of my other favorite books is The Patriarch, which is the life of Joe Kennedy. John F. Kennedy's President Kennedy's father. And John was like, man, he's like, yeah, I saw that book. He said, man, that book was so thick. I said, that's why you got to get Audible, man. You got a book. I was like, got to get the Audible, man. 30 hours?
Your real life, if you look at them in real life, you're like, oh, okay, yeah, that is an accurate time.
Actually, I got it right here, actually. So if you can see this online, this is The Patriarch, the life of Joe Kennedy. And this is how thick this thing is. I mean, it is a show enough. So, yeah, this is a big one. But it's so good. It's so entertaining because that man, so many people don't know his life. That dude had a full life. Very entertaining, full life. Yeah. I mean, he was the first head of the SEC, of the Securities Exchange Commission. So all of my day-to-day life in business is wrapped around the policies he put together. And the crazy part, how he ended up with that job of actually founding the SEC. He was one of the guys who was making money. A lot of the policies that he created was a reflection of the the bad stuff that he did and how he built his other businesses, and was running a bank and mob work. And I mean, I'm like, how do they make this guy the head of the SEC? Oh man, but I tell you the truth, that's a great book. But I'll tell you the truth, to this day, and I share this with all of my clients, especially the ones who are really focused on wealth management and generational wealth management. Joe Kennedy's strategy is the best. His strategy is the best. He came and said, when I have kids, I'm going to make sure that I want them to go to the best colleges. He's speaking this before he had children, right? And he set up a trust. And as each child was born, he would set up a life insurance policy for those kids, cash value, maxed it out, put it into the trust. And by the time those kids were ready to go to college or graduated from college, the income from the trust is what would become their new income. So his main goal though of doing that was they didn't have to go out and work, because he wanted all of his kids to at least to be in public service, basically, whether it be elected office or running nonprofit organizations or things like that. That's what he wanted his kids to do. And they did that. That's exactly what his children did, right? From having a president as a son and army leaders and senators. His daughter started the Special Olympics. I mean, that's exactly what they did. And they had income. They didn't need to go, and they could literally donate that money that was allotted for their income back to the organization. So when we talk about generational wealth, that's kind of, that model is what I use to this day. So the information is out here, but it's in books. So if you're not reading or listening to get the information, and you're stuck. The only information you have is what was taught, people say, well, didn't you go to school? Like, yeah, but they didn't have the information, right? So, so you got to go and find it. So that's another good one. That's another good one there. All right, it's 9:04. You did it, Pass. You did it. It's 9:04.
Still got something in the tank too. But we can figure out something else, because I know when you're really done, you be like, that's all I got. That's all I got. You still got a little in the tank. We'll leave it in the tank.
We're gonna leave it
next time. We'll leave it in the tank the next time.
We're gonna leave it. We're going to leave it. Yes, indeed. But anybody have any questions, comments, observations, anything you want to share before we finish up for the day? All right. Well, listen, folks, 12-week year. Download it on Audible. Go to the website, 12weekyear.com. Tap it in. But I want you to begin to use this month of May as we head toward Memorial Day, thinking about what your focus will be for the 90-day challenge. What are you going to have a definite chief aim for? What will be your core focus? And it could be anything. It could be stuff that needs to happen, and it could be family related. It could be business related. It could be whatever. But we want to begin this process in a way that will be very transformational for you. That's the point. That is the point. I mean, there's no getting around it. This is the time, man. And you want to capture people when everybody's energy is high, and you're working on something together. We're all and that's the beauty of it. And so, go to that information, get it locked in. Go to our website, dreammakersnetwork.org, dreammakersnetwork.org. A big part of my goal is to increase membership for the Dreammakers Network, which includes the generational wealth plan, which includes building out the committees that we're focused on, which is really more of a mind, body, and soul objective. and really building a coalition to go to work on a lot of stuff. And this is just exciting. Go to the website, dreammakersnetwork.org. And I'll tell you, we have a lot of stuff in motion. And so I need some help from folks to help build out some of these committees, some of the activities that we're going to schedule for the year, trips that we're talking about. Oh, that's one thing I didn't mention. You know what? I'm gonna save it. I'll save it like you say, Paz. I'm gonna save it. But it is, yeah. Actually, I'm gonna go ahead and dive in because we're gonna talk about this. You'll notice this when you get the book, and then we'll finish up after this. I'm on the trip in Bermuda. I'm talking to Bermuda in St. Lucia, and I'm telling my wife as I'm listening to this book, and I said, "Hey, this is what I want to do. I want to create an event called the 13th week. Create an event called the 13th week, and basically, the 13th week is that celebration week that you just went through 12 weeks, goal setting challenge, focusing on your goals." And this 13th week is a celebration week, and create like this. This is, and the Dream Makers presents the 13th week, and that's the big event. Like that's when you go to wherever. And so I'm working on our 13th week event right now. Just want to put that out there. So which basically means we're going to have a 13th week event this year in September. So open up your calendar. I'm working on the details, but we're going to have one this year, and it's going to be great. So the 13th week, get that in your spirit. All right. I'm done. That's all I got. You guys have a great weekend.
That's all I got.
Have a great weekend. Enjoy yourself. Hit me up if you have any questions, and we'll go from there. Be blessed, folks. See you soon.